There are people for whom manifesting is super easy, but there are also those who I think are making it way too complicated because they say they have certain blocks, or that first they have to heal, or whatever, so many things, or that they have to be aligned with some planet, you know? Whether robotic affirmations work, whether they don't work, whether they can visualize, whether they can't visualize, they add a lot of steps like you have to let go, but not too much so the universe doesn't misinterpret it. Whether you should persist, but not so much that you become obsessed. So you get to the point where you're like, wait, what are we doing? You know? Because manifesting shouldn't be so complicated. In fact, it's not, you know? With Neville,
The idea is pretty straightforward. It's very simple. You are experiencing what you accept as true for yourself. That which you are conscious of being, consciousness tells you. It is the only reality.
and now the problem is that we have been turning techniques into the law.
But techniques themselves are not the law. You know, affirming doesn't manifest. Visualizing doesn't manifest. Doing sats doesn't manifest. Writing 55 by 5 doesn't manifest. You manifest.
So understand this. Manifesting is easy, okay?
And I want to give you a very simple summary of what manifesting is. Manifesting is experiencing externally the reality that you first selected and assumed internally.
It's the reality that you're selecting mentally. So manifesting is what you're experiencing right now, isn't it? Your current reality is your manifestation. And if you want to experience something else or a different circumstance, then you need to do the same thing you're doing now, right? And you have to think as if that's already true. Since we were very young, we were programmed by what we heard over and over again. What we saw as examples from our parents, what we saw with our siblings, what we were taught, and the experiences we accumulated and lived through over time. And from there, well, many beliefs were formed, most of our beliefs. But here is what's important, and I want you to remember it well, that programming is not permanent. And today, as adults, we can absolutely question those ideas and change what we have accepted as truth and start to install new, more desirable beliefs. And well, that is our responsibility. So the only thing you have to do is experience what you want over and over again as if it were already true. Okay? Manifesting is experiencing. It's literally experiencing, internally rehearsing that you already have or already are what you want.
And it's not the ancient magical technique of Madame Bublé, nor the 6-month course from so-and-so. All of that, well, yes, it can help you, but in reality, it's simply you when it comes from within you, from you. This idea that, okay, I don't like what I'm experiencing right now.
And well, I want something else. So you ask yourself, what do I want to experience? That's where it starts. And then what do? You mentally rehearse, either by visualizing or by choosing a phrase and thinking it over and over again, or writing it over and over again, whatever gets you to go inward mentally and do it again and again. Okay? Because repetition is what matters. Repetition is what programs us. And you do what works for you, what helps you see yourself and feel it mentally, over and over again. That you already have what you want, or that you are already experiencing whatever it is you want to experience. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And you do it until it becomes real, until it shows up in your reality. You make it real here first.
And then your reality has to match what you are experiencing inside. It works by law. It's a spiritual law.
It's the law of consciousness. It's the perfect law of freedom, whatever you want to call it. So with this, I'm telling you that your reality is malleable. What you imagine and experience internally ends up being expressed in your reality. That's why experience it inside yourself over and over again and make it real internally. Now, when I say real, I'm not talking about forcing emotions. It's simply about immersing yourself in that experience, about living it internally, and stay there as if it's a real act, like playing a role in a play. That's why Neville's work makes so much sense to me. And for me, the 5 minutes before going to sleep are ideal. And just to be clear, this is just in my case. Okay? Because look at what it says. I mean, in Matthew 6, we read it and it says, when you pray, go into your room and close the door. That's something Neville often quotes. So, what does this tell you from a metaphysical perspective? That for a moment, you close the door to the outside world. You go within yourself and internally you experience what you desire as if it were already true. That is praying. Okay? Okay? You do internally what you want, just as you would do it outside. You ride a motorcycle, or you feel a caress. You laugh about a situation. You feel a ring on your finger. You smell a perfume, and you're not looking for it outside, you know? You don't think about the means or who you have to contact or who you have to meet. You're not waiting for that to happen, you know? But during those 5 minutes, you're living it inside you. You're experiencing it. During those 5 minutes before you fall asleep, you're living it inside first. But watch out here. Because it's not just about those 5 minutes. That's not enough on its own. If you do your exercise and the next day you go back to your old self, to I don't have it, to nothing is happening, to nothing changes. My boss hates me. Dogs bark at me. Nobody likes me. Well, you're going back again and again to your previous state. That's why, during the day, you simply remember what you already experienced internally, and you don't have to obsess or control every thought either. Because that's impossible. There are just too many. It's enough to notice that you've gone back to the old self, to the old story, and you kindly return and tell yourself, no, I've already decided this, I've already lived this, I've already seen it.
You do that and go on with your day.
Okay? Because in the end, what you practice the most, what you accept the most, and what you experience internally is what happens. Step by step, it becomes natural for you. Okay? And therefore, that's what you're going to express outwardly. It's what you're going to see in reality. It's what you're going to see in a tangible way. Sooner or later, you're going to see it in a tangible way. The bridge of incidents will start to build itself. And this is where a lot of people say, hey, I've been doing the exercise for weeks and nothing changes. Well, tell me what you're doing the other 16 or 17 hours that you're awake because you slept 7 or 8 hours. But what are you doing the rest of the time? What are you doing the other hours? Because it's not very useful to spend 5 minutes feeling that what you want is already true. If afterwards you spend the whole day complaining and doubting and repeating the same story you already know, then you have to observe which story you are rehearsing most of your day. Because your most dominant thoughts, the things you think about the most, are the ones that will end up affecting your reality. If you're thinking all the time, why is it so hard? Why does it work for others? Why does it take so long for me? Why hasn't Gerardo talked to me? Why haven't I been promoted yet? And why was Fulanita promoted? Well, since it's not working, I'm going to watch another video, or let me try this new ritual that's trending. That's doubting. And what you're perpetuating when you do that is that you're confirming you don't have what you want. So even if you do your 5 minutes before going to sleep, if your dominant state is this isn't working, this is hard, I don't have what I want, then what happens? Your reality perfectly confirms it by not giving you what you want, because you are constantly selecting that state. And that's it. It's that simple. It's just as easy for what works as for what doesn't, and for choosing the state you do want to be in, where your desire already exists. Well, you have to think from there. You have to experience internally that it's already true, that it's already happening. So, whatever you are affirming or visualizing in your 5-minute sessions, and then when you're not doing it during your day, your thoughts and your attention during the day, they could be, for example, with an attitude of, it's all true, it's very easy for me. Everything works out for me. Manifesting is easy for me. That's why I do recommend that you use these recordings, that you use these affirmations throughout your day, that you keep them in those states. You know, you have to keep thinking that it's already true and think, was it really that easy for me for this to happen? I enjoy my relationship. It feels easy to be a priority. It feels good when they talk to you. Or I have so much money and I feel comfortable and secure, or I love my new house. Whatever it is for you, you just feel satisfied inside. And why does this matter? Because your constant thoughts throughout your day have to reinforce your 5-minute sessions before you go to sleep, or when you make your assumption. They have to match and they have to be consistent. You have to be thinking fourth dimensionally, like Neville would say, from the state you want to be in, so you can actually be in it, okay? Now, another question that I get asked often, and that is very valid, is, am I going to have to do this forever? Well, the answer is no. Not for a specific desire, but for other things, for new desires that may come up. Well, you're going to have to do it, because your whole life, as long as you're on this earth, amount of fun. We're manifesting all the time. Just get used to the idea. You can't not manifest. I mean, manifesting isn't something you turn on and off like with a switch or like with an Xbox, with a video game. The video game is happening right now. Okay? You're doing it all the time. And as spiritual beings, we're always going to have more and more desires. And that's just natural, you know? It's something normal for us. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to experience. Because when it comes to, let's say you want a peaceful, healthy relationship in your life, and once it has manifested and you've gotten used to seeing the person, you've gotten used to them calling you and warmly saying good morning, well, it becomes something normal for you, right? It's normal for that person to treat you well and be in love with you, and for you to be in love with her. That's something natural and normal, right? When you reach the point where you no longer have thoughts that contradict your assumption and you no longer have doubts, when you have absolutely no doubt, you no longer need to keep affirming or imagining or doing anything because it's already a fact. You know, that's the Sabbath in Neville's terms. In my experience, you stop doing it naturally. Because once it becomes normal for you, it turns into a natural expectation. And when something becomes a natural expectation, well, you no longer need to keep trying different things to make it happen, right? Because you already expect it, like when it's 4 in the morning and you're waiting for the sun to rise, you already know it's going to come up, right? And if you notice, the things we have to put more effort into imagining or feeling, pay close attention. Those are the things we don't expect to experience, that we can't believe are possible for us, or that we don't feel capable of achieving. We don't believe they're true for us. And that's why effort arises, and that's why anxiety arises. You know, that's why we're called to arrive at this state of natural expectation. And you do it by affirming, you do it by visualizing or writing whatever you need, so that you can mentally feel that this is already true for you. All right? So I hope this is clear and that it makes sense to you. So, to sum up, What is manifesting? It is to externally experience the reality that you first selected inside and felt as if it were already true. It's that simple. Now, what is doubting? What does it mean to waver in your assumption? It's when you go back to the opposite story, to the old self, to the old story, to the why isn't it happening, to it's taking too long, to I'm gonna try another newer technique. Let's see what's trending right now, you know? And that's going back to thinking from a place of lack instead of thinking from the state you've already chosen. So, what do? You go back to experiencing that it's already true and you return to it as many times as you need to. Okay? How do you do it? With your 5 minutes before going to sleep. You visualize or write or have internal conversations. Whatever you want. I don't care which technique you're going to use, because another thing I want you to understand, please, is that the technique is only secondary. It's just a tool, nothing more. And they all aim to take you to the same place, to experience mentally that you already are who you want to be, that you already have what you want, and that you already do what you want to do. And another thing is, don't get confused by all the information that's out there on the internet. Like, is this technique better? Or that one doesn't work anymore because it's so 2019? Or that you have to manifest instantly. And then you see that guy or that fit lady who already has everything and everything just happens automatically for them, you know? No, that just makes you anxious because it makes you compare yourself to the other person. So find what works for you and keep it simple. You learn to think from the state you chose, and you learn to return to it when you find yourself in the old story. And you learn to stay there until it starts to feel natural. Because I'm telling you, eventually it's going to stop feeling like something you're trying to manifest. It starts to feel like something that is perfectly real and true for you. Natural expectation, you already expect it, it's natural, it's already done. The sun rises in the morning, sets in the evening, the moon comes out. That's certainty. That's your natural expectation. It's that knowing. So please don't overcomplicate it. 5 minutes. Go within, experience the realities you want, and live your life. Enjoy your days. Enjoy the people in your life. Enjoy your activities, your hobbies, your things. And during the day, when the old story shows up, you remind yourself, right? I've already decided this. It's already done, and it already exists, and you go back, and that's it, okay? So I hope this video makes sense to you. If you already knew it and forgot, well, I hope it reminds you. And if all this is new to you, if this world is new to you, well, open your mind to this information. I especially recommend reading Neville Goddard. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Immerse yourself in the information. And above all, practice all of this. Practice it, and if you want to get serious. Let me remind you that there's the ETM Plus School, where we have activities all week that revolve around the law of consciousness. We just had the metaphysical retreat last week. People were really delighted, honestly. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one, that's also possible. I'll leave the links down below in the description box. So that's it. Thank you for listening to me. Remember that I love you very much. And that's all. From Domina to Mente. See you in the next video. See you soon. So.